quick intro to this series of videos. Back in March, we did our first live podcast where we talked about some of the most influential movies in our lives. We wanted to share some of our favorite moments from that podcast. If you want to listen to that complete podcast, the link will be in the description. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe to our channel. Now, onto the video.
But you mentioned with Star Wars that you came around after it was in theaters and stuff like that, but you still kind of
Yeah.
obviously enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
My next pick, I'm kind of cheating with a little bit. And
Oh.
it's, well, because it is a pick, but that led to another franchise that I love dearly. But more importantly, I picked this film because it is the first film that I can remember seeing in theaters that was like a blockbuster that made me just love the theater experience. Now, I know my parents took me to see E.T. That was considered my first film. I don't remember that shit. I was 4 when E.T. came out in theaters. I know that officially. I actually remember seeing the original animated Transformers movie in theaters. I remember
Oh,
seeing
cool.
GoBots versus the Rock
Oh,
people.
the GoBots,
I saw
yes.
that in theaters. I even saw my grandma used to take me to the National Mall theaters and we would see movies. I saw Spaceballs in the theater. She took me to see Spaceballs. But the movie that I
Wow.
am picking was the first, I guess, more adult film, action film that I saw in theaters. And I was like, holy shit, I love going to the theater. There was just something about seeing something on the big screen. And it led to a franchise that I've watched pretty much every film of, though I know I haven't watched the last few because I think we joke about it. I've fallen out of love with movies a little bit. But I saw the James Bond movie, The Living Daylights, in movie theaters. This was the first kind of big
So
action.
random.
This is random, and this isn't even my most favorite Bond film. But once I saw Timothy Dalton in this, there's a lot of good action sequences. I remember from like the net coming out of the helicopter. I went and tried to watch every friggin' Bond film I could, from the original Doctor
Wow.
No to
How many are
Goldfinger.
there?
Uh,
Like 20?
well, now there's more. Because let's see, hold on. Sean Connery did 7. Roger Moore did 6. 13. George Lazenby did 1. 14. Timothy Dalton did 2. 16. Pierce Bronson did 4. 20. And then Daniel Craig, I think, just did his fifth or sixth. I saw the first two, the Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. So I don't know. So there's 20 when it ended with Pierce Bronson. Um, but I love this franchise. I became a huge James Bond fan. And what I love about this is not like you have to see one to like the other. You know, each one kind of stands alone. There is little tidbits that they bring on long, even years to come. I don't know if you ever watch James Bond movies. I don't know if you ever reference James Bond here, like talk about how he was married once, and that was actually in the George Lazenby one, an older one called Honor Majesty Secret Service. It was this one actor who kind of, in between Sean Connery and Roger Moore, so he was kind of the forgotten one, but it's one of my favorite Bonds. It's very personal, but his wife dies after they get married in a honeymoon. They gun her down. So it
What?
gets brought, yes, he was married once, and this kind of gets brought up. So, but it's never, fully talked about on the ones. They just, James Bond was married. So, but as a series as a whole, I just love the gadgets, Q, everything. The action sequences got better within time, obviously. But like Doctor No, it is a very slow movie. But then the second one, From Russia with Love, oh, phenomenal. The train scene was great. Obviously, most people love Goldfinger as far as the old ones because you got Odd Job, with the hat, and then so it gets a little
Yes.
crazier. And yes, there is some shit ones. Like I remember Man with the Golden Gun, horrible. But this is the movie that I saw in theaters that made me love a franchise, but also more importantly, just love the theater experience. Because again, this was the sound, the action, everything was there. People were excited because, like I said, mainly I saw cartoons. Spaceballs was just a random one, and I don't know which might have came out first. I just remember seeing it. My grandma, like I said, used to always take me to the theaters or the National Mall when it was actually a mall, not what it is now. But so yes,
I remember
I'm
that.
kind of
Yeah.
cheating with this one because it is the one that got me excited for theaters, but it also is the one that got me into a whole franchise, and it's one of my favorite franchises ever. I love all the people who played Bond. Each one kind of brings something new, and I'm okay with that. Like I
Hmm.
said, I kind of need to catch up on the last couple of Daniel Craig's, but that's my fault. Again, I just once I left Blockbuster, I just kind of stopped with movies, but I would still need to kind of catch up on that. But I have seen pretty much every film up until through Pierce Bronson, 1 through 20, and if my count is correct, there's 20. I could be off by one. I don't know, but
There's
they
so many movies.
and they're a lot of them were great. Now there is some shit. Do not get me wrong. There is some shit, but yeah, I love this franchise. So yes, I am cheating a little bit because it might not be one in general, but it is the one that got me loving going to the movie theaters the most. Not just to see maybe a cartoon I love or just something funny. Like it was just everything. Like I was just engrossed in it, and after that, I saw so many movies in theaters after that. So yes,
So,
go ahead.
okay, Living Daylights. This had Timothy Dalton, right?
This
Is
was
that his
his.
name?
This is the first one he did. Then he did. I forget what it's
Because he was
called.
kind of
Those
short-lived, right? Like he was a
he only
short-lived
did
Bond.
two. Well, yes, because he only did two. They wanted Pierce Bronson, but he was doing another film and couldn't commit to it. So
This
Timothy
is
Dalton
Doubtfire.
did, maybe I don't know, but so this was the first one. License to Kill was the second one, which was more of a darker, personal one.
Oh
One of his
yeah,
friends.
I remember
Yeah, so
that.
some people didn't like it. I still remember being good, but this one had the action, and I'm okay with Timothy Dalton. I mean, again, maybe it's a little biased because he was my first Bond, and you always remember your first anything. I don't care what you say. Oh yeah, see, I was right. Five with Daniel Craig. Thanks, man. It's 25 altogether. So my number was correct because it's got to be,
Bro,
yeah. Because I know that he just did the fifth one. He didn't want to do it, but I'm sure they paid him a shit ton of money. Um, but anyhow, yeah. So this is the movie. I saw it in theaters. I was with my grandma, and I loved it. And I know we just kind of joked about this at the beginning of the podcast. I always liked having popcorn. I still do, but I eat it pretty much. I do it the previews before the movie starts, because I'm just like, it gives me something to do. I love the butter and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, so I am cheating. It's not like I said, it's not one of my favorite Bond films. It is a good film. I do like it. I will rewatch this anytime it's on. And I know it's kind of weird, but this kind of represents the franchise as a whole to me. But more importantly, this is what got me to love and theater experience. So in a way, this was
wow.
influential, just in a very different way. So yeah,
Yeah.
I knew I had to cheat with this one because I'm just like, I have to. I remember seeing this in theaters and I remember loving it, and I just remember a lot of that. So
I don't
and it
think it's
always
so
stuck.
much cheating. I mean, it's part of. I mean, it is what it is. Like
Oh, I
that's an
know.
influential movie. That no matter what part of a franchise it is. I mean, I never got into James Bond. James Bond to me was always my dad's thing. So I was always like, okay, yeah, my dad likes James Bond, and so that inherently made it uncool for me. Um,
Oh,
because it's like that's like what old men watch is like fucking James
oh,
Bond,
thanks.
and so. Well, we're old now, so yeah, I just never got into it. I never got it. I've seen it from time to time, and I've seen the Sean Connery stuff, and I think probably the only James Bond movie that I remember seeing when I was a little kid was like I want to say it's called like Moonraker or something like that,
Yes,
and it's got this guy with like metal jaws in it and
trap.
shit.
Yeah, I almost said trap. Is it
Um,
trap jaw? Oh my
no,
god, why
that's
can't I
I think
remember?
that's He-Man.
Yeah, no, it is,
I
it
think his
is.
name was Jaws. I want to say it was
I think it was
Jaws.
just Jaws. I think you are correct, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Roger Moore. So that was like more of a ridiculous like James Bond movie, I think, because there was like outer space shit. But it just never connected to me, right? So it's like it depends on where you are in your life and how you hit certain movies we've talked about. It's just where you are and what your mentality is like is how a movie's going to resonate with you, I think. And
Oh, I agree.
I just wasn't, I just never caught me. Like I never was like, oh, I gotta watch it. And I bought my dad. I think I bought my dad collections of this shit, like on VHS.
I owned every VHS through Pierce Bronson. So I had like the
My
collection. Then
God.
they went to DVDs, and I was like, I don't know if I want to spend the money on this. But yes, I had a friend that worked like at it wasn't a Suncoast, but he worked in Minnesota when I lived there, like basically kind of like a Suncoast Spencer. It's just one of those kind of Empire record fields, but with movies. And he let me use his discount because he actually, I gave him the money, and he bought like yeah. So I got the complete set, then I bought everything after. But I owned everyone through the Pierce Bronson on VHS. Oh man, but yeah, I love Bond, and
Wow.
I do need to catch up on the Daniel Craig's, but I need to watch movies. But I digress. That is me.
You
I
do need to watch movies. This will be addressed at a later date, but we need to discuss about your like what's going on with you in movies lately.
it's just we're old men. I need time. Though I did watch The Dark Crystal, like I said this morning, so I do watch movies. It's just like I'm not rushing to watch anything new. I could care less for the most part. I mean, and I do occasionally. It's just not like when we were at Blockbuster. We were watching what 7, 10 a week, and just because
Yeah.
we got them for free and we had the time, we'd eat dinner, put on a movie, just be like, hey, yeah, this movie's good. Oh, this movie's shit, because it was free, and I didn't feel like it wasted like an hour and a half of my life. Now I just don't want to waste like an hour and a half of my life. I'm like, this could be shit. No, I'm just not rushing to get it, but I do occasionally watch it. It's not like I used to be. So